are trying to explain is, in a little bit more detail, is how things that go into the bird's digestive system affect it. And particularly it's going to be based on environmental toxins and mineral nutrition. And so that's really what we're kind of focusing on, but then how all of these different things, such as antibiotics, herbicides, pesticides, those kind of things end up in our grains, in our feed. And in an organic, oftentimes we think, I'm eliminated from some of these things. And what we're learning now is because of drift, because of seed, because of environmental factors, we still have some, certainly not to the extent that GMO crops or non-GMO crops have, but these environmental toxins are still there, and it doesn't take much to affect our poultry and especially the gut microflora. And so as we talk about this, this is really very much education on how things work and why they work. So we're not here talking about our microbes or our minerals. Everything is very general, because this is meant to be an educational, it's not a sales seminar. And so this is how things get put together, this is how things function. And the same parallel happens in a human, in a cow, a pig, and a chicken. There's no difference. We have a little bit different creature, but all the physiology that God put into place for one applies to the other one. It's just like soil. When we were talking about soil microorganisms yesterday, the same concept works in our digestive systems. We live off of products that come from the microbes. As much as we like ribeyes, Ed, we don't live off of ribeye. We live off of what the microbes give us back from that ribeye. And so that's the same thing here. And what we see over and over and over, because we've had a chance to work with a lot of different industries. So I met Dave back in 2010. He's from Iowa. And we have done turkeys, we have done pork, a lot of hog operations, cattle operations, and the physiology is all the same. So we've done everything from honeybees to beef cattle, and that's a pretty good spread. I think every kind of critter in between, two-legged or four-legged, we have worked with on gut microorganisms and minerals. And the consistent thing is if you work on the very basics of how things function, you can fix a lot of problems up the scale from those basic things if you're doing them the right way. And so that's really what we want to talk about. This is really how God put things together when He created these systems, and how they function according to His natural law. And if we understand that law, we just have information to make different or better decisions. I am absolutely convinced that when we fall back to a chemical-based or synthetic-based toxin to save things, we have mismanaged the system, because the systems aren't designed to run on those products. When you take all of these synthetic, toxic, antibiotic compounds that are not found in nature, we don't have the ability to process those correctly. They do certain things, but when you look at that, there's a whole list of side effects because it's the way we do it, not the way God does it. So we're going to talk about how nature puts things together and how nature works. So when we're talking about the digestive system, this works across the board for everything. Anything that's above a rock that has to digest something, this is how it works. So the parallel is completely the same. It's just raising hogs and raising chickens is the same concept. You just got a little different critter, one versus the other. So as we talk about this is kind of going to be based on how we approach things. Because one thing that we found is if we fundamentally get it right, we eliminate a lot of other problems. And so we're going to talk about gut microflora here specifically, and minerals and what they do in this whole process. But then we're also going to teach you guys about plants so that you understand how plants grow, when they need nutrition, and how plants form nutrition to put into the, you guys are mostly interested in the grains. Okay, how does that occur and why does it not occur? And it all depends on how it's farmed. We often think that a kernel of corn is a kernel of corn and they're all the same. And I'm going to tell you emphatically they're worlds apart. They can be 200, 500, 800% difference in mineral content. And without those minerals, your bird has no capacity to function. Because when you look at the basis of everything, everything on this planet is made up of minerals. Everything that gets maintained is a mineral replacement. There's nothing that exists that doesn't come from a mineral. And so microbes are an integral part of that conversion of elements into different compounds. So are enzymes. So we're going to talk about this. So if you've got questions as we go through, some of this stuff you're going to be familiar with, and I hope a lot of it's new to you. Okay, so holler at us. Okay, so the Indians had a little bit different outlook on life than the white man did when we came roaring through this part of the country. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one strand within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things are connected. And so we're seeing this more and more with the amount of chemical toxicity that we're putting into our environment. We're not able to put things out there without them eventually coming back.